One moment, you are walking to the kitchen, confident, clear-headed, and in control of your own life. The next, your foot catches on the edge of a rug you have stepped over 1,000 times before. Your balance shifts, your heart stops for a millisecond, and you are on the floor. It happens that fast. And for millions of seniors, that one moment is not just an accident. It is the moment their life changes forever. I am Dr. Daniel Hayes, and I have spent over 2 decades in geriatric medicine, and if there is one thing I have learned, it is that a loss of balance is not a minor nuisance. It is the single most accurate, most terrifying predictor of whether you will spend your later years in your own home or whether you will be forced into institutional care. If you are 90, 80, or even 70 years old, and you have been told that feeling a bit shaky or unsteady is just a normal part of getting older, you have been lied to. The medical establishment is comfortable with you accepting this decline. They want you to believe that falling is an inevitable fact of aging, like graying hair or wrinkled skin. But I am here to tell you that this is not true. Your body is a machine, and like any machine, if you stop calibrating it, it begins to drift. Your balance is a system, a complex, high-speed feedback loop between your eyes, your inner ear, and the sensors in your joints and feet. When that system fails, it is not because you are old, it is because you have stopped feeding the system the information it needs to stay sharp. Today, I am going to reveal to you a 10-second movement, one that takes less time than it takes to pour your morning coffee, that acts as a system reset for your balance. If you can master this, you are effectively telling your brain that you are not ready to decline. You are telling your body that it needs to stay ready for anything. I have seen 90-year-olds walk with the stability of people in their 50s, not because they have better genetics, but because they have cultivated this one specific, overlooked movement. But before we dive into the what, we have to talk about the why. Why are you losing your balance? And why is your doctor telling you to just be careful? The fear of falling, what we call post-fall anxiety, is itself a biological trap. I had a patient, Eleanor. She was 78. A retired schoolteacher who loved gardening. She tripped once, didn't break anything, but she was shaken. After that, she stopped gardening. She started looking at the floor while she walked. She began moving tentatively, shuffling her feet and gripping the walls. Within 6 months, her caution had become a permanent disability. She lost the confidence to move naturally, and by moving tentatively, she actually became a high-risk faller. She had entered the deconditioning spiral. When you shuffle, you stop lifting your toes. When you stop lifting your toes, you are more likely to catch them on the smallest obstruction. It is a vicious cycle. What you need to understand is that your brain has a map of your body. Think of it as a satellite view of your physical self, constantly updating in real time. When you stop challenging your balance, the resolution of that map becomes blurry. Your brain stops seeing your feet as clearly. It stops calculating the distance to the floor with precision. And when you lose that precision, you lose your freedom. This is not just about physical safety. It is about the functional reserve of your brain. The same neural pathways that control your balance also control your cognitive speed, your reaction time, and your ability to focus. When you stop training your balance, you are quite literally choosing to let your brain drift into a state of semi-retirement. Why do most people struggle to improve? Because they try to fix balance with the wrong tools. They buy more expensive shoes, they use walkers too early, or they focus on sitting down and doing easy exercises that don't challenge the vestibular system. Your inner ear, the labyrinth of fluid-filled canals that tells your brain which way is up, needs dynamic input. It needs to be challenged. It needs to be tilted, rotated, and shifted, not held steady in a chair. If you spend your life sitting, your inner ear goes to sleep. And when you finally do stand up and move, it takes your brain seconds to wake up and figure out where you are in space. In those seconds, the fall happens. I want you to leave your age in the comments right now and tell me, has your confidence in your own movement decreased over the last year? Do you find yourself holding on to railings more than you used to? Do not be ashamed to admit it. Recognizing the problem is the first step to reclaiming your strength. Your story matters, and by sharing it, you are helping thousands of others in this community who are struggling with the exact same fear. We are in this together, and I am going to show you exactly how to rebuild that confidence. We are going to focus on the 10-second movement that will change your morning forever. But first, we need to address the hidden enemy of balance, your ankles. Most people focus on the hips or the core, but the ankles are the first point of contact between you and the earth. They are your sensors. If your ankles are stiff, your brain is getting low-resolution data. It's like trying to navigate a ship with a broken radar. Before you can balance, you must ensure your sensors are working. Are you ready to see how a simple 10-second shift in your morning routine can create a ripple effect of stability that lasts the entire day? We are not just talking about standing on one leg. We are talking about reprogramming the connection between your brain and your lower body. We are going to go step by step through the mechanics of this movement, why it works, and how to do it safely, even if you currently feel very unsteady. This is the moment. You have been waiting for the secret, but I want you to understand that in the world of geriatric medicine, there are no magic pills. There are only mechanical interventions. The movement I'm about to teach you is what we call the Neurological Reset Stance. Most people think they are balancing when they stand on one leg, but they are actually just bracing their muscles. True balance is not about tension, it is about relaxation and precision. Here is exactly how you perform the 10-second movement. You will stand near a kitchen counter or a sturdy piece of furniture. You do not need to hold on, but I want you to have your hands hovering just an inch above the surface for safety. I want you to place your feet hip-width apart. Now, I want you to shift your weight onto your right foot, but listen closely, because this is where everyone gets it wrong. Do not lock your knee. If your knee is locked, you have turned off the stabilizing muscles of your leg, and you are relying entirely on the joint. You want a micro bend in the knee, so soft that it is almost invisible to the naked eye. Now lift your left foot just 2 inches off the floor. Do not lift it high. Lifting it high creates unnecessary tension and shifts your center of mass in a way that makes balancing harder, not easier. Keep the foot low. Now, here is the secret that makes this a 10-second neurological reset, rather than just a physical exercise. I want you to fix your gaze on a single stationary point at eye level. Do not look down, do not look around. By fixing your gaze, you are stabilizing your vestibular ocular reflex. Your eyes are directly connected to your inner ear, and when your eyes are steady, your inner ear can calculate your orientation in space with incredible speed. Hold this position for 10 seconds. Feel the muscles in your ankle making tiny, rapid micro-adjustments. Those tiny wobbles you feel, those are not failures. Those are not signs of weakness. Those are your brain and your muscles learning to talk to each other again. That is the feeling of neuroplasticity in real time. If you start to sway, let yourself sway. Do not fight it. Fighting the sway creates rigid, clunky movements that actually cause falls. Instead, think of yourself as a tree in the wind. A tree survives a storm not because it is rigid and unyielding, but because it is flexible. It sways with the wind to dissipate the energy of the gust. You must do the same. After 10 seconds, slowly lower your foot to the floor. Now, repeat it on the left side. 10 seconds. That is it. That is the movement. It takes 20 seconds total, twice a day. Why 10 seconds? Because 10 seconds is the exact amount of time it takes for your brain to reach what we call steady state integration. If you do it for less, the brain doesn't fully calibrate. If you do it for more, you reach a point of fatigue where the quality of the movement degrades. We want precision, not exhaustion. I had a patient named Robert. He was 92 years old, a former engineer who had spent his life building bridges. After a hip replacement surgery, he was terrified of falling. He was using a walker indoors, and he told me, "Doctor, I feel like I'm walking on ice." Robert thought his surgery had ruined his balance. But when I examined him, I realized his hip was fine. It was his neurological confidence that had been shattered. He had stopped feeling the floor. He had stopped trusting his body. I taught him this 10-second reset. I told him, "Robert, you are not exercising your legs. You are teaching your brain how to map the floor again." The first week, he was shaking. He needed the counter to keep himself upright, but he did it every single morning, right after he brushed his teeth. By the third week, he was hovering his hands. By the second month, he was doing it while waiting for his coffee to brew. 6 months later, Robert walked into my clinic without his walker. He told me, "Doctor, I don't feel like I'm walking on ice anymore. I feel like I'm walking on the earth." That is the power of the neurological reset. It is not about building big muscles. It is about rebuilding the connection between the command center and the sensors. Most people fail to see results because they try to force their balance. They hold their breath, they clench their fists, and they stare at the floor. Holding your breath is one of the worst things you can do for balance. When you hold your breath, you increase the intra-abdominal pressure and you raise your blood pressure, which can actually cause you to feel lightheaded and dizzy. You must breathe naturally, deep, slow belly breaths. This sends a signal to your vagus nerve that you are safe. When the vagus nerve is activated, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure stabilizes, and your brain is much more capable of processing the complex information needed for balance. Another mistake is neglecting the footwear. If you are doing this in thick, squishy sneakers, you are robbing yourself of the most important sensory input. Your feet are covered in thousands of tiny nerve endings called mechanoreceptors. They are designed to feel the texture, the temperature, and the pressure of the floor. When you wear thick, unstable shoes, you are effectively wearing a blindfold on your feet. Whenever possible, do this movement in thin, flat-soled shoes, or even better, on a firm rug in your bare feet. Let your feet feel the floor. Give your brain the data it is starving for. Let's talk about the hip strategy versus the ankle strategy. This is a fundamental concept in movement science. When you lose your balance, your body has two ways to recover. The ankle strategy is the first line of defense. It's a small, fast correction at the ankle joint that brings you back to center. It happens so fast you don't even consciously realize it. The hip strategy is the second line of defense. It involves a larger, more powerful shift at the hips, usually when you have been pushed further off balance. As we age, we tend to lose the ankle strategy first. We become hip dominant in our balance, which is why older adults appear to move with a wider, more rigid gait. By practicing the 10-second reset, you are aggressively training the ankle strategy. You are teaching your brain to trust those tiny, rapid, corrective movements of the ankle. You are sharpening your radar. You are making your emergency response system so fast that you can catch a stumble before it even registers in your conscious mind. I want to dive even deeper into the vestibular system. Your inner ear is not just a sensor, it is a computer. It processes information at a speed that puts the fastest supercomputer to shame. But like any computer, it needs a good data feed. If you suffer from age-related hearing loss, or if you have had infections or inner ear issues in the past, your data feed might be distorted. This is why the visual component of this movement is so critical. By fixing your gaze on a target, you are providing your brain with a ground truth reference point. You are telling your brain, this is where the world is. Now tell me where I am in relation to it. I have seen countless patients try to balance while watching the television. They are doing the movement, yes, but they are not training the system. They are distracted. Balance is a cognitive task. If you want results, you must be present. You must feel the weight shifting from your heel to your toes. You must feel the muscles on the outside of your ankle engage. You must feel the slight contraction in your glute. This is mindful movement. This is high-quality input. I want to emphasize this again. You are not just working on your balance. You are working on your brain's ability to maintain focus. If you can dedicate 10 seconds to total, undivided concentration, you are practicing a form of meditation. A brain that can focus on the micro movements of an ankle for 10 seconds is a brain that can maintain attention during a conversation, during a complex task, or during the many challenges of daily life. This is the ripple effect I mentioned earlier. You fix the movement, you fix the brain. But what if you are already at a point where you feel you cannot stand on one leg at all? What if your joints are too painful, or your balance is so poor that you are terrified of even attempting this? Do not give up. There is a way to bridge the gap. We call it the weighted pivot. Instead of lifting your foot entirely, simply shift your weight from your center to your right side, lifting your heel slightly. You are still training the neurological pathways of shifting weight. You are still teaching your brain how to handle the center of gravity without having to risk a fall. You can do this at the kitchen counter for a few days, then a few weeks, until you feel the confidence to hover the foot. There is no shame in starting where you are. The only failure is staying in the same place. The beauty of this 10-second movement is that it fits into any schedule. You can do it while the tea is brewing. You can do it while you are waiting for the microwave. You can do it while you are listening to your favorite radio program. It is the most efficient, most effective intervention I have ever seen for maintaining independence after 90. But we are only halfway through the journey. You have learned the movement, but now we need to talk about the architecture of independence, how to organize your environment so that you aren't just training for balance, but living in a state of constant, low-level physical engagement. We are going to look at why your home might be sabotaging your progress and how to redesign your daily life to turn your living room into a neurological gym. Are you ready for the final, most transformative segment? Now, we must talk about the architecture of independence. You have the movement, you have the science, and you have the understanding of why your system was failing. But even the best movement in the world will fail if your environment is working against you. Most seniors live in homes designed for comfort, not for capability. You have rugs that slide, cords that snake across the floor, and furniture that is too soft to provide any real support. You have effectively designed a home that makes you weak. I want you to look at your living room, your kitchen, and your bathroom with a new set of eyes. I want you to see them as a neurological training ground. This is what I call the architecture of independence. It starts with removing the trip hazards, yes, but it goes deeper than that. It is about creating opportunities for movement. If you want to improve your balance, you must stop making your life easy. The ease of modern life is the enemy of physical resilience. Stop looking for the closest chair. When you walk to the kitchen, don't take the direct route. Navigate around the table. Force your brain to calculate distance. Force your feet to adjust to different angles. This is what I call functional navigation. Every time you avoid a straight line, you are forcing your brain to map the space in 3 dimensions. You are effectively performing a brain workout without ever breaking a sweat. Consider your bathroom. It is statistically the most dangerous room in the house, but it is also the room where you have the most consistency. You are there at the same time every morning and at the same time every night. This is the perfect training ground for the 10-second movement. By anchoring the movement to a habit you already have, like brushing your teeth, you eliminate the need for willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. Habit is a permanent system. I tell my patients, if you are standing at the sink, you are training. Don't just stand there. Balance. Make it a rule. If you are waiting for the tap to run, you are balancing. If you are waiting for the kettle to boil, you are balancing. Turn every waiting moment into a training moment. But there is a deeper layer to this. It is the social aspect of balance. We often think of balance as an individual problem, but it is deeply social. When we isolate ourselves, we stop moving because we lose the witness to our lives. We become sedentary because there is no one to walk with, no one to go to the park with, and no one to share the day with. Social isolation is not just a psychological issue. It is a physiological one. When you are alone, your brain receives less input, your body moves less, and your systems begin to atrophy. This is why I am so passionate about the Walking Buddy program. Find someone, a neighbor, a friend, a spouse, and make a pact. Walk with them twice a week. But here is the catch. Do not walk for speed. Walk for stability. Walk in places where you have to watch your feet. Walk in the park. Walk on the trails. Walk where the world is not perfectly flat. I had a patient, Arthur, 85 years old. Arthur was convinced he was done. He told me, "Doctor, my walking days are over." He sat in his chair all day, staring at the wall. I challenged him to find a walking buddy. He found a neighbor who was also 85, a woman named Clara. They started walking to the mailbox together. Then they walked to the corner. Then they walked to the local coffee shop. Last month, Arthur told me he walked 2 miles. He wasn't just walking, he was living. He had a purpose. He had a witness. He had a connection. That is the secret to longevity. It is not just the movement. It is the life you move towards. I know there are questions. I hear them every day in my clinic. What about neuropathy? What if I can't feel my feet because of diabetes? If you have neuropathy, the 10-second movement is even more critical, but you must be safer. Use the counter. Keep your eyes open. Focus on the hip movement. You are retraining the brain to interpret the signals from your ankles, even if they are faint. It is like turning up the volume on a radio that has been static for years. It takes time, it takes patience, but it works. The brain is remarkably good at compensating for damage if you give it the right data. What about canes and walkers? I am often asked. Do they make me weaker? A cane or a walker is a tool, not a weakness. If you need it to stay active, use it. But do not use it as a crutch to avoid movement. Use it to enable movement. Use it to walk further. Use it to explore, and use it to build the confidence to eventually practice your balance without it. The goal is not to throw away the cane tomorrow. The goal is to get to a point where the cane is optional, not mandatory. What if I have severe arthritis? Arthritis is not an excuse for inactivity. In fact, it is the number one reason to move more. When you don't move a joint, the synovial fluid, the natural lubricant of your body, stops circulating. The joint becomes dry and stiff. Movement is the pump. The more you move, the more you lubricate. It will hurt at first, yes, but that pain is not the pain of damage. It is the pain of waking up a system that has been sleeping. Talk to your doctor about anti-inflammatory support. Get your nutrition right and start slow. You are not fighting your joints. You are helping them heal. We are nearing the end of this journey, but I want you to remember that this is really just the beginning. Everything I have shared with you today, the 10-second movement, the architecture of independence, the dual tasking, the psychological shifts, it all points to one undeniable truth. You are not your age. You are the sum of your actions. You are the result of the decisions you make from the moment you wake up. I have spent my career watching people resign themselves to decline, and I have spent my career watching people defy that decline. The difference between the two is not the quality of their doctors, and it is not the price of their medications. The difference is their refusal to accept normal as the standard. They understand that their body is a living, breathing, adapting organism that is always listening to what you ask of it. If you ask for stability, it will build stability. If you ask for strength, it will build strength. If you ask for a better life, it will build a better life. Do not let anyone, not a doctor, not a television ad, and certainly not your own doubts, convince you that your best years are behind you. The science is unambiguous. The human body, even at 75, 80, or 90, retains an extraordinary capacity for adaptation. You are built for resilience. You are built for survival. You are built for more than just getting by. If this video reached you at the right moment, if something here connected with where you are in your life right now, please share it with someone you love who is in this same season of life. We are building a community here of people who refuse to accept that decline is inevitable, because it isn't. Subscribe to this channel, turn on the notifications, and join us in this mission to live fully at every age. Before you go, I have one final challenge for you. Leave a comment below and tell me, which of the things we discussed today are you going to implement in your morning routine? Are you going to start the 10-second balance reset? Are you going to clear the trip hazards? Are you going to find a walking buddy? Your story is the fuel for our next research project. I read every single response. Take care of yourself, keep moving, and keep your mind alive, because you have so much more to give. I will see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay sharp, and above all, keep fighting for your independence. Your future self is waiting for you to make the right choice today. The window of opportunity is always open, but you have to be the one to walk through it. I believe in your capacity to change. Now go out there and prove to yourself exactly how capable you really are. See you in the next video, and remember, keep standing tall.